Do you want to build your relationship or do you want to kill your relationship? Well, what I'm going to talk to you about today is probably one of the number one top all-time relationship killers. It's the assumptions thing. Making assumptions. Assuming. They say that assuming makes something out of all of us. And it is not far from true. It is impossible, not problematic only, it's impossible to have effective communication. It's impossible to communicate effectively as a couple when we make assumptions about each other. We make assumptions often and we don't realize that it is getting in the way of our intimacy. It's getting in the way. It's making us see each other with suspicion and with doubt and with all sorts of negative innuendos in the back of our minds. It's like all of a sudden we become enemies when we were married to be partners. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about why and how assumptions are destroying your communication. Are you ready for this? Okay, say this with me right where you are. My assumptions are killing our communication. Can you own it? Own it. Because we all do it. Come on, say it with me. My assumptions are killing our communication. The number one thing that couples say to me when they are looking for marriage coaching, they say, and I'll ask them, I say, hey, what's going on? What seems to be your biggest challenge in your relationship? Invariably, probably 90% of the time, couples say, we don't know how to communicate. That's why I'm doing this series called Communication Killers, or Couples Communication Killers to be more exact. Today I want to talk about assumptions and what they do to us. Let me give you 3 things that you want to be mindful of. One of the things that assumptions do is they replace curiosity with conclusion. Let's try that one more time. They replace curiosity with conclusion. It's been said that curiosity is the engine of intimacy. Did I go too fast on that? Curiosity is the engine of intimacy. If you're gonna be close to one another, if you're gonna feel warm toward one another, if you're going to move towards sexual intimacy at the right pace and the right ways, curiosity is king when it comes to that. Curiosity is the engine for intimacy. I know they said curiosity killed the cat. We're not talking about no cats here. We're talking about a marriage relationship. We're talking about an intimate relationship. We're talking about building something wonderful and amazing between 2 people. And so when we assume, we replace curiosity with conclusions. And those conclusions can be very, very damaging. It's like they lead to a shutdown. Those conclusions, or those assumptions, I should say, they lead to people shutting down. All of a sudden, people are just like, I don't want to talk anymore. I don't have anything else to say about it. No, you can talk to yourself. They walk away because when you replace curiosity with conclusions, people feel like, okay, you already know then. I guess you already know. Why would I even be here? So you're going to tell me how I feel. You're going to tell me what I'm going to do. You're going to tell me what you think I'm thinking. You're going to tell me what you already know was my motive. That's what assumptions say. To assume is to take the matter to oneself. That's what it means. It's to take up the matter with oneself so that you're only taking up the matter with you. It's what your brain has already concluded is going on with the other person, and it starts filling in the gaps with information that is not factual. Is this making sense to you? And so we start telling people that they are a version of themselves that's not true necessarily. Now, I understand why we make assumptions. Sometimes we make assumptions because there is a history. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And we assume that what's happening now is the same thing that the other person did the last time and the time before that and the time before that. But the assumption is not helping your case in communication. It's not helping you to communicate. It's never going to bring you closer. You're never going to assume something about your spouse that's going to make them feel warm and connected to you. I promise you, never, ever. Did I say never? Ever? Never, ever. Assuming things about your spouse is never going to bring them closer to you or bring you closer to them. So assumptions have a way of replacing curiosity with, let's say, foregone conclusions. And so, in effect, you're not relating to the actual person. Like, you're supposed to be communicating to the person. You're relating to some version of them that's in your mind. And that's really painful for the other person because they feel unseen when you assume what they meant, what their motive was, and what they're going to do next. So we replace curiosity with conclusion. There's so much more I want to say about this. Well, let let me say this. Curiosity is so powerful that it makes you available to learn on new levels. Science has shown that there's a part of our brains which is stimulated, and they've shown this by diodes and showing the light, having that part of the brain light up when people ask questions rather than make assumptions. So it opens you up to learning. You get to learn more about your spouse. You get to learn more about your children. You get to learn more about any subject when you are curious. But the moment you know everything is the moment you stop learning. And they say that assumptions make something out of all of us. I wonder where that came from. All right, let's talk about the second point. Assumptions carry the weight of unspoken history. Assumptions carry the weight of unspoken history. I like to say it this way. Assumptions hinge us to our history. You hinge a person to their history when you make assumptions about them. Like a hinge holds two things together. Like when you walk through a closet door or into any door, the door is hinged to the frame so that the door is not separate from the frame. Are y'all tracking with this? When we make assumptions, we tie a person to their history. In other words, if they have failed you, or if they were late in the past, or if they did something in the past, it is so tempting not to tie them to the thing they did in the past. It's tempting not to hinge them to their history. But when you do it, it can be very, very almost demoralizing. It takes the energy out of the person because what you're saying is how you wounded me the last time is how you're trying to wound me again. The way you disappointed me the last time, I know exactly what you're doing now. In fact, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Isn't that amazing? And so the person doesn't get a fair shake or fair shot at having some reasonable explanation for what may be going on. And so when we make these assumptions, we truncate the ability, we cut off the ability to have open communication because it feels demeaning and demoralizing to have someone tie you to your history, especially if that history is a history of offense or failure, when in fact they could be trying their very best. And so stay curious. Stay open in conversation because you can build better if you can communicate than if you assume. I hope this is making sense to you. When we make assumptions and we tie people to their history, what happens is we start burying people under the weight of an old narrative. We keep playing this record in our brains concerning them, and they can never escape the old narrative. That's why when I'm working with couples, for example, where one partner who committed adultery, infidelity, had affair after affair sometimes, when they have done the powerful work of trying to rebuild trust, when they've done the powerful work of trying to really heal the wounds that they created, and the spouse who was wounded, the faithful spouse, keeps bringing up the past, they actually undermine the healing process. And they make the other person feel like, I'm never going to get from under this. And so I have to remind the faithful person, do not sabotage this process when the other person has made clear by virtue of their transparency, their honesty, their integrity, their empathy, all of the things that we want to see when they're trying to recover, when they have demonstrated those things and you keep bringing up their past, what you're saying is, I'm not here for the journey of healing. Ooh, isn't that powerful? So be careful. Don't let assumptions cause you to hinge people to their history. Stay open, stay curious, be open to the conversation. We literally have to tell our brains, because anxiety makes us jump right back to the past experience, assume the worst is happening again. We literally have to tell our brains, like, chill out. You need to tell your brain that right now. Tell your brain, chill out. Like, chill out, chill out. Chill. It's okay. Keep calm. Who am I helping right now? If this is helpful to you, drop something in the comments. And of course, drop your questions also, because there's so much more to this. But we're talking about how you kill communication. And if you're trying to build a relationship, you don't want to kill the communication. This same principle, by the way, plays out on world stages. Like, you can't build relationships on world stages. We can't build relationships with our neighbors if we keep harboring assumptions about them. Ooh, this is so good. Can I buy this video somewhere? Can I get this? I want to play this again and again. All right, let me give you the third one. The third reason, the third thing, I should say, you want to avoid by making assumptions. Assumptions make the assumed person go on the defensive. It's almost like they feel like they're being put on trial. That person is all of their defenses are going to rise. And it's amazing when one person is making the assumption in the communication and the other person goes on the defensive. The person who made the assumption, why are you so defensive? What would you expect me to be? if you start making assumptions about my motives, hinging my history to this moment, burying me beneath what happened in the past, what would you expect me to do? It's a natural human response to defend ourselves, certainly when we know that what's being assumed about us is not true. So you want to be careful because you put the other person on trial. People feel like they're judged before they speak. They feel like there's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can say to convince you that what you've already assumed to be true is not in fact true. So the nature of assumptions is to cast something as fact that has never been investigated. Did I go too fast on that? It's to say something as though it's factual because you feel like it's factual, because it was historically factual, but you never investigated the situation. You simply assumed it in your mind and ran with it as though it were factual. And now the other person is on the defensive, feeling judged. And so your whole demeanor tells the other person, there's no way you're going to convince me otherwise. And guess what that other person says? There's no way I'm going to convince you otherwise. And how is that working out for your communication as a couple? Is that making you closer? Is that making you desire each other more? Here's what I'm saying. Yes, there are times when either of us is wrong or both of us is wrong. There are times when we have done things that we have hurt each other. We've wounded each other. Yes. But when we make assumptions, it's hard to heal old hurts. And so it's important that both of us not make assumptions, that we stay curious, that we stay in the moment. Somebody shout, stay in the moment, stay in the moment. This is grown people communication, y'all. This is for people who are serious about maturing emotionally and relationally. And we got a lot of people, just because you've been together for 175 years doesn't mean that you're emotionally and relationally mature. Because the more we make assumptions, the more we drive would have been great relationships into the ground. Is this helping anybody? Is this challenging to you? So let's not put the other person on the defensive. And so this becomes a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy or cycle, however you want to call it, right? You did this because, and you always, and you never, and this, I already know exactly why you did this and what you're going to do next because you always, and see, we keep making these assumptions and then they become self-fulfilling because we start getting what we've been pronouncing as fact. And it's not necessarily fact, it's just that we start seeing everything through that lens. Did I go too fast on that? It becomes self-fulfilling because we start seeing everything through that lens, and the person that you're making assumptions about can never escape your already established assumptions. And I'm talking specifically when those assumptions are negative. So if you want to raise the level of your communication, I got a great resource for you. It's called Better Communication, Fewer Conflicts. Grab that resource. It'll help you. I'm telling you, it'll help you. Better Communication, Fewer Conflicts. Just look down in the description. Make sure you grab it because you want to improve your communication. You want your communication to be rich. You want your communication not just to be improved, but you want, listen, here's what good communication does. It makes two people feel like there's hope. It makes two people in a relationship feel like there's hope. They start to feel warm toward each other. They start to feel seen. They start to feel heard. When there's good communication, when we're not making any assumptions, we're letting the other person express their point of view. We're making room with curiosity. You start to get closer. Isn't that powerful? Let me tell you something. You can turn around your communication. You can turn around your communication. And I want to help you do it in our upcoming challenge that's going to help couples really reconnect as they learn how to communicate. Don't you want to do that? Don't you want to do that? Make sure that you check it out in the description, or you can go to my website, rodhairston.com. Let's help you build your communication, deepen your relationship. Ooh, make you feel more in love with each other. Make you feel like, hey, we can do this. We got this. We still got something special. I believe in you, and I hope you believe in you. And your marriage is worth getting better for. You can build your communication skills. And when we all do, or should I say, when we do, we all get better. We bring a better person to the relationship, a more mature person emotionally and relationally. So stop making assumptions. Be more curious. Don't hinge people to their history and don't put them on the defense, whatever you do. All right, I'm Rod Hairston. It's been great to be with you. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, make sure you like and subscribe. Of course, like and subscribe. But also leave a comment and leave a question, and I'll do my best to circle back to your question and try to be a help to you. Have a great rest of your day.